Hi. People always ask me what I think about cake trends and what's gonna come out and what's gonna come in, and I think the most important part of this conversation is just the fact that right now, cakes themselves are very trendy. Back in like 2005 to 2010, we saw a huge spike in the popularity of cupcakes, and I do also think that the 2008 financial crisis had a lot to do with this, especially when it comes to weddings. And if you remember, that's when we saw a lot of the mason jar, burlap, DIY, Pinterest kind of weddings, because that's what people could afford, and cupcakes just so happened to be in the budget way more than a big grand cake. Then I feel like around 2015, macarons really had their moment because, okay, we're not in a recession anymore. People can afford something a little bit nicer than cupcakes. But I think there was definitely a novelty to like having an individual item, especially at weddings, and macarons really fit the bill. I don't know if y'all remember that crazy thing that happened in 2020, but I think that is when heart cakes really started to become popular. I remember looking for heart cake inspo on Pinterest in 2020, and I could not find any inspo pictures of a vintage heart cake on Pinterest. It was just not a thing yet. People were not doing that yet. Baking was famously a huge pandemic hobby that took over. A lot of people were making bread, but at the same time, I think a lot of people got into cookie and cake decorating because it's very tedious. It takes a lot of time. It's like a good pandemic stay-at-home kind of hobby. And I will be the first to say that learning all of these piping skills needed for a vintage cake is really not that hard to do as long as you have the time to practice. This is when a lot of people were doing this at home, filming videos for TikTok, when TikTok was also just blowing up during COVID. And then the heart cake trend was born, and we still have it here today. I do think that a lot of cake businesses were built off the heart cake movement, if you will. So I hope that when the trend eventually does pass, they can learn other skills and techniques, and I'm sure they will. I do think people are getting a little bored of the simple heart cake, and so we're seeing all kinds of variations of it, just like this cake I'm decorating here. The newest cake trend I've seen is very abstract shapes, abstract styles. You guys have seen me do a few of those. They're really supposed to look naturally imperfect, and I think that's a direct response to the cookie cutter perfect vintage heart cake. The abstract cakes are much less appealing to a larger audience, so I think it is like a very niche trend, and that's not gonna like be the next heart cake. I do think the heart cakes are gonna be around still for quite some time, but as long as cakes in general are still trendy, I'm a happy camper. All of this information I've given you is purely speculation, and I'm sure there are people out there who've done a way more detailed analysis of this kind of phenomenon. And if you are a baker and you're watching this, I know I didn't give you any new insightful information, and you probably already knew all of this, so sorry, I guess, for wasting your time. But people really do ask me all the time, so I just wanted to give my 2 cents. These tiny heart cakes now being really trendy for weddings are definitely a recession indicator, so huge wedding cakes never went out of style. They never will, but I hope more people are doing them again in the next few years. I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Bye!